There's been a lot of news and controversy coming out of South Fulton, and last night we learned that South Fulton's police chief, Keith Meadows, is set to be placed on administrative leave. Meadows was named South Fulton's first ever police chief back in 2018. He accepted the job after having served as College Park's police chief for 3 years. Before that, Meadows spent nearly 30 years with the Atlanta Police Department. The city says his leave will begin August 5th. This is the latest development concerning the South Fulton Police Department. It's also now facing investigation after lawsuits were filed against Chief Meadows and the city. Last week, the City Council signed off on allowing a third party to look at the lawsuits and assess the entire department. It will review police promotions and internal affairs investigations over the course of the last 3 years. And there will be an effort to lay out a thorough understanding of police standard operating procedures. The review will also examine rules surrounding discipline along with human resources policies. So let's bring in Professor Thaddeus Johnson from Georgia State Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology. He's also spent a career in law enforcement spanning more than 20 years by combining field service and command roles. So I know you understand this from every angle, and we really appreciate you being here on the show.
No, thank you for having me again. Thank you for covering this important conversation.
From your experience and your perspective, why are these third-party investigations so important in maintaining public trust when it comes to local police departments?
Yes, I think that's a really good question. And I think, we often talk about the impact of policing when it comes to disparities and inequities on our citizens. But very, very rarely do we talk about the impact of police organizations and cities perhaps being unfairly treating our officers. And so, it's not only about rebuilding trust among your citizens and trusting in the police, right? Being transparent, but it's also important for the police to trust each other, for officers to trust their leadership. Oftentimes when we look at, there's not a lot of research on it, but oftentimes we'll look at research on promotion processes and disciplinary processes. And oftentimes in big cities like Chicago and data out of New York shows that there are often racial disparities when it comes to promotion opportunities, or the number of times you've been promoted, or how long it takes to get promoted. And even when you talk about discipline, we've also seen where some officers, men, women, or officers of color are punished more harshly or more severely or more often than their counterparts. And so, yes, the citizens must trust the police, but how can the citizens trust a department that doesn't trust themselves? And so it's important for a third party to come in where that trust is lacking, so they can do so. We've seen other cities do this. It's a very good idea if we hire the right third party firm so we can move forward. It is a possibility that the administration and the city hasn't done anything wrong. And if that's the case, we need to not hamstring them, and so we can move forward so people can trust them and they can move forward with their jobs. If we find that there has been some dirty business going on, then the citizens need to know, and the good officers want to know, and they can move forward trusting, knowing that they did their due diligence to make sure that this was fair, impartial, and thorough. So I applaud them for actually taking this step. Even if it's not substantive, at least symbolically, it shows your citizens that you're willing to do what it takes to make sure that you would build that trust.
You mentioned the bigger cities. I'm curious, do the dynamics change when we're talking about a smaller city like South Fulton?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that we've been studying as well. Like particularly, since the pandemic hit during that period, we saw domestic migration where a lot of people left out of the big cities and went into the small cities. So oftentimes the cities may be bringing in these expectations. Oftentimes the cities can actually grow faster than the public safety infrastructure has. So oftentimes in smaller cities, you see the same issues. There's often the same problems, but the issue is that perhaps maybe there's less oversight. Perhaps you have more relationships where people know each other, have come up through the ranks together, whether in the department or around in the area. And so when you have smaller cities, you can have more familiarity. And now that doesn't necessarily mean that things will be held under the rug. There's a statement that says familiarity breeds contentment. And so we're not really sure, how different, policing is policing where you go, but the oversight. Do you have a civilian review board? Are you dealing with union issues and labor issues like we're talking about right here? So yeah, all of those issues are pretty much the same, but how their faces may show themselves can be a little bit different. But it's
Okay.
actually why I'm so excited about this third party because, in particular, in a case like this, a
Yeah.
city like South Fulton that is growing rapidly, you want to make sure that you get this settled up front so you all can move forward and this doesn't linger over your head for years to come.
For sure. We're almost out of time, but quickly I want to ask you what's the most important thing in your mind to make sure that something like this review leads to actual change, and should the public be made aware of the findings?
No, absolutely. The public should absolutely be made aware of the findings. The public should absolutely be made aware of the call and the requirements and the recommendations given for the particular firm, giving the public an opportunity to voice their opinion so they are a part of this. They need to publish the scope, the methodology, the timelines online. And I would even suggest to stand up a community advisory panel to actually receive periodic briefings. So it's not the entire public. You have a panel of representatives who can relay that message. So the public has to be involved for this to work. This cannot happen behind closed doors. We have to do it and do it expeditiously and be transparent while we do it.
All right, Professor Johnson, I've learned a lot from you. We're going to call you again, so just make sure, pick up our calls because your perspective is really helpful. Thanks for the time.